got Aldo Napoli, is that right?
Napoli.
Napoli. Okay, I went to school, and the boy's name was Napoli, I called him Napoli, so I'm sorry. That's what he told me to call him.
I have no people who call me Napoli still, so.
All right, you're District 4, correct?
District 4, I'm out of Napoli, I'm running for District 4 County Council. I have a little cheat sheet with me, some other districts back, I just want to make sure I get everything covered that I wanted to get covered in a short amount of time. So I'm sure you're all ready to ask some questions. A little bit about me, I was born in Charleston, I was raised down in Gideon, South Carolina. It's about 20 miles outside of here, out in the country. So I do know about a lot of challenges that come along with living in rural areas, where it's actually a large portion of Berkeley County is rural, as we all know. 9 years ago this month, I married my wife Ashley. We have 3 children together. We have 6, 7, and 8-year-old. They all attend school at St. Ray Elementary. I also work 2 jobs here in Berkeley County. I work for DuPont Kevlar, and we get a lot of time off because it is shift work. So I picked up a part-time job at Mellow Mushroom, waiting tables. Do anything I can to make sure my family has the funds they need to be successful. My 2 top priorities on being on council is public safety and infrastructure. I think that you can see by what happened with the prison that public safety may have not been a #1 priority for a council over the last several years. Some people say it's the sheriff's issue, some people say it's the council, some people say it's the supervisor. I don't know I'm not going to blame anybody, but I know as a council member I will be informed and have the relationship with the sheriff. While I know, there's no doubt that things like this is going on, and I will be there to address it with them. Also with infrastructure, that's the two things people expect from the government. They want to feel safe, and they want to make sure they have roads that they can drive on and not tear their cars up. And that's what I feel like, generally that's what I pay taxes for. When I drive down the road, particularly even my road that I live on, you hit 20 potholes along the way, you get upset that you're paying these taxes and I'm still driving through all these potholes. I'm wanting to work with, I don't really care who the supervisor is at the time, who the sheriff is at the time. Whoever gets elected, I will be there to work with them. I'm not going to pick favorites or sides. I know I will do my part to work with whoever these elected officials are, and also with other departments within Berkeley County. I have a lot of years of experience in the automotive service industry. I'll do what I can to get with sheriff's departments, the county garage, things like that, to make sure, see if we got these vehicles on a good maintenance plan. Maybe start building a replacement plan for these vehicles so we're not replacing 20 cars at one time, dropping hundreds of thousands of dollars. This should be budgeted every year. Let's do this many cars, and it's a recurring thing. We shouldn't have to drop that much money at one time on that many vehicles. I'm here to support small businesses. Make things easier for them, not difficult. I talk to a lot of friends of mine that are small business owners, and they tell me about these hoops they have to jump through, and it seems like it's, we don't need to be working against them, we need to be working with them. And that goes along with things like the impact fees. That's working against small business. So county needs to do whatever we can to get rid of those things so we can encourage them, help them, because small business is the backbone, I believe, of America. It employs a lot of people, keeps a lot of families fed. I'm all about zero waste. A lot of things get voted on in council that have to do with spending money. Sometimes it's hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars that your vote approves. I will do my research on every one of these things I'm voting for before I spend $1 in taxpayer money. I've always worked 2, 3 jobs my whole life, to support my family, and I understand how hard it is to earn money, and the money that you pay to the government for taxes, that's money to be used for you, the taxpayer. And I realize that, I understand it doesn't come easily, and I will not be frivolous in spending it. Another thing that really bothered me when I learned that some public safety officers, due to their schedule, are paid some certain kind of overtime that is, I don't think is right. It's the more hours they work, the less they make hourly. It is, I did a lot of research on it, and it is legal. However, I don't think it's right. And I think doing things like that will help with employee retention, like with how they were saying we have a lot of turnover in detention officer. I think things like that will help with employee retention because they feel like they're getting paid fairly. I know I don't mind working some overtime as long as I'm getting paid fairly for the overtime. I don't know if, the best thing to do is go to the traditional overtime method, but I promise I will do the research to get these employees paid what they should be, because I think that's fair, and that's what keeps employees around. And we all know that it costs a lot of money to hire somebody. Go through all the process of hiring somebody. It's not cheap, especially with training and everything else. So again, I'm Aldo Napoli. You can find out any more information on me or even some videos about me at Aldo4district4.com. I have some signs back there. Feel free to take one. I really appreciate any support that I can get from anybody, and thank you very much.
Hey, I'm Tommy Newell, born in Charleston, raised in Lansing. I'm running for Berkeley County Council, District 4. Aldo pretty much said it all. People ask me why am I running? I said, well, at first I could sit home and complain and sit in a lazy boy and not do anything, or I could get out, listen to the folks who are complaining, go to Moncks Corner and try to do something about it. Hear a lot about the impact fees and the local option sales tax. Well, I'm against the impact fees and I'm for the local option sales tax. That's part of the police department, sheriff's department. Sangaree doesn't get the representation that they deserve. You got crime real bad. You got Tall Pines as they hire their own off-duty officers. Their crime is a little bit lower. You got Tramway, Carriage Lane, same situation. Crime is rampant in both situations. The EMS, Mr. Gunn has informed me how the EMS, the ambulances, need to be turned over. We need new stuff. Worst thing in the world is having a heart attack and not be able to get to the hospital. And, I've lived here all my life, went to Sangaree Elementary, went to College Park Middle, graduated from Stratford High School. The biggest thing I can do is tell you that I'm very approachable. You can ask me questions. If I don't know the answer, I'm going to find out what the answer is. I don't know everything. I mean, a lot of times I joke and think I do, and I don't. So, by all means, I'm always accessible. Call me, text me, email me. If I don't have the answers, I'll be more than happy to get the answers for you. As far as being conservative, don't want property tax to go up. I don't want us to spend money on stuff we don't need to spend money on. And I really don't care who the supervisor is either, because I'm not working for the supervisor. I'm working for the people of District 4. So, again, my name is Tommy Newell, running for County Council District 4. Appreciate it.
I'm Jim Royce, and I too am running for County Council in District 4, and I have in the back a little card with some of the information I'm going to be talking about. I found in teaching the Trident Tech for all these years, it's best to pass out the lecture notes first, and then everyone can kind of follow along as we go. And so this is what we have, and I've been living here in Berkeley County for 28 years. Been married to the young lady over there for 34, and we have a couple children and a couple grandchildren, and they're on the little card too, so you can see that. And a lot of folks have asked me why I've been interested in running, and well, I served 12 years on the Berkeley County School Board. And in those 12 years, I can't honestly say it was a real conservative environment, and I have the scars to show for that. But what I got from serving all of that time was an opportunity to see how big budgets are done. I've seen multi-million-dollar operation budgets that come year after year after year, and then multi-million-dollar construction budgets that we all are going to be looking at as road projects and so on. And so what I have to offer is a lot of experience as far as looking at budgets and working with groups to come up with a consensus as best as we could back then. And now it's like it's happening all over again with the 1 cent sales tax and with the coming of roads. And I'm a strong believer, just like my two opponents here, of improving infrastructure. And I know that you all know that we are a growing, thriving community that's going to keep on being growing and thriving. And how that's going to happen is we're going to have to improve the roads, and we're going to have to make it a much more welcoming environment for businesses. And along those lines, everyone is talking about the impact fees. And the greatest news I heard tonight was Mr. Fish says that they're working really hard to get rid of the impact fees. And I'm sure that that's going to make it a more pleasant environment for businesses, small businesses, big businesses. And I think that is really slowing down some of the growth that we have here in Berkeley County. And the other big thing that came up tonight that a lot of people were talking about was public safety and the Sheriff's Department. I am a strong supporter of good law enforcement throughout Berkeley County. And it breaks my heart to hear that we haven't had the boots on the ground that we have needed over the years. And it broke my heart to hear that we have a beautiful, I don't know what you call a jail, a beautiful facility, but we have a facility that's not been manned the way it should be. And yeah, I can't look at the sheriff in the eye and say it's your fault. I got to look at county council and how it was funded. But what I can promise you is that Jim Royce is going to be sitting on county council sporting the sheriff's office. And I think that as far as we all are as citizens of District 4 or District 5 or District 6, we want public safety. We want public safety. And the EMS that Tommy Newell talked about, that is a central thing. And it's fortunate that we right here have one that's pretty handy right up there on Frontage Road. And so we're good there. But there are other places in the county that it's a reach to get there. So I will be a strong supporter of that too. So we're looking at law and order, we're looking at infrastructure, we're looking at doing the best we can for business, and I am a strong conservative. And I will stand here and tell you that I will not vote to raise your taxes. And so, millage rates, we're going to be able to get a tax base from our increased number of houses and increase the growth in our community. And I don't think millage rates are going to be a thing that needs to be addressed. So I appreciate your vote, I appreciate your support, and I'm Jim Royce, and I'd like you to come out and vote for me on June 10th, and come out and vote for Mr. Newell and Mr. Napoli on June 11th.
Good evening. My name is Bill Pegler. I'm a lifelong resident of Berkeley County. I was born in Berkeley County Hospital when we still had one. And if the Lord's willing and the creek don't rise, I'll die in Berkeley County. I'm married to the same woman going on 34 years, and she's my best friend. I have a child and a grandchild. I'm quite proud of the grandchild, and Grand Jeepaw has come out sharp, okay? So you take what you give with them. I have been on town council and mayor of Moncks Corner for almost 20 years. And in that 20 years, I've proven that I'm a conservative leader. We have taken a police department who, at the time I took office, owned their own guns. Now, if you don't think that makes a difference, think about this. You've got a 40, you've got a .380, I've got a .357, and you run out of bullets. There's nobody to throw you a clip. We had a police department with poorly maintained vehicles. And we adopted a policy wherein we would buy so many cars each year to rotate the system out so that all the cars would be replaced in 5 years. The only thing we had to buy, because we bought extended warranties on those cars, was gas, oil, tires, and windshield wipers. As a result of that policy, we were able to give the county 11 cars and still maintain a highly efficient police department. I'm sorry, I'm low on 11. We took and built a recreation center of 2% hospitality money. The restaurant business in Moncks Corner is $30 million. And that's out on our tax rolls. That is paid by people going through. The dollar menu is alive and well in Moncks Corner. We have, in the county, we have to look after our ambulances and also our fire departments there. We raised the salaries of our fire department personnel so that we could keep, instead of being a training facility for other parties, we now keep a static fire department. And we work well with the volunteer fire departments. And this is the type of policy we need to bring to the county. We have a 24/7, 365 fire department, and we have automatic aid with the fire department of Whitesville Rural Fire Department. And as a result of that, Chief Tim Stevenson informs me that we put more personnel and apparatus on the fire than the city of Charleston. That's what Berkeley County needs. I'm dedicated. I spent 20 years learning this job. And my commitment to this job is that I have to give up my law office to be able to run the county. Why do I want to do that? Because I enjoy helping people. This is government for the people, by the people. And I look at you as customers, and I believe in customer satisfaction. I'm qualified because I am a self-employed businessman. I know what it means to earn a living. I support 5 families, and I want to help you. I want to be your supervisor. I want to bring what we've done from Moncks Corner, Berkeley County, and I thank you. Good evening. How are you?
Good, you?
I get asked a lot, why should I vote for you? And my answer is very, very simple. Because I'm not Dan Davis, and I'm not Bill Peeble. I don't have their obligations. I don't have their baggage. I go into Berkeley County clean. I don't know a friend, and I don't know a favorite. From the first day in office, I could get to work for the people of Berkeley County. Now, Supervisor Davis, his motto is keeping our county strong. You can't miss it if you're looking at one of his signs on the road. Berkeley County has the highest unemployment rate in 3 counties. We have an underfunded sheriff's department, an underfunded EMS, and a jail that's been 2/3 empty for years. We have companies like American LaFrance that's left Berkeley County owing us $650,000. We have no real industrial development, no new jobs. We have entire sectors of our population on Daniel Island that doesn't even feel like they're part of the Berkeley County family. Keeping our county strong. Friends, like many of you, I disagree. As your supervisor, I will always lead from the front. You'll never have to pay to listen to the state of the county address. You can sleep better at night knowing that you're safe. And I will go worldwide to look for companies to come into Berkeley County to grow our economy, giving us jobs. I want you to ask yourself 2 questions when you go in to vote. First question is, are we better off now than we were 8 years ago? And two, am I happy the way that Berkeley County is ran today? If your answer is yes, you got two politicians to pick from. Flip a coin. You got two of them. But if your answer is no, we have an alternative. We have an alternative. And a conservative Republican. And together, you all and I, we can make Berkeley County strong again. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys for having me here today. I'll take this off as well because I think I tend to move around a little bit. My name is Matt Smoke. I'm running for Berkeley County Sheriff. I have nearly 17 years of public safety. Now that public safety ranges from fire to police to even a paramedic. I'm still a certified paramedic. I like to believe that once you establish training and you have been trained on certain things, and you need to maintain that training. Some of my plans for Berkeley County include bringing the county deputies in areas that they're not normally at now. What I mean by that is the communities. We need to have more deputies assigned into the community around here so they can figure out who's in there, who's supposed to be in there, who's not supposed to be in there, what crime's going on, and what can we do to prevent that crime. I also want to bring deputies to Gang Island. That's an area that's not being sought after at all. They need to have more coverage over there. Some of the statistics that I've got all this written down. If you guys want, I can give emails because I've got statistics up the wazoo for that. Some of the statistics I have include how many collisions at Berkeley County Sheriff's Office worked last year compared to how many collisions State Highway Patrol worked within that county. I personally don't believe that a deputy should wait on scene for anywhere from 10 minutes to an hour and a half to wait for a trooper to get there to work the collisions. The last I checked, every time we graduate from the academy, we're all certified to work a collision. You may not be certified to work it up to a fatality standard, but you can work a collision. I also believe there needs to be more enforcement going on. With more enforcement, you're going to reduce those collisions. You're going to reduce the high crime areas. I also think what needs to happen is with this, with working the collisions and everything like that, you're gonna bring to the table a safer county. If you have more enforcement areas, if you have high collision areas and high crime areas, and you put your deputies in those areas, and you start working to combat the high crime and the high collisions, it's going to reduce. You can also, use federal grant money to increase the patrol, to increase equipment, to increase the jail staff. All this can be brought forth by using federal grant money. I'm currently employed with the city of Charleston right now. We just got a federal grant for $1 million to hire 18 new officers to stay in the neighborhoods. We have another grant set aside to hire 18 more that work specifically for the schools. So we could bring that to Berkeley County without raising taxes. We can utilize federal grant money, and that's going to provide more equipment for the deputies, better cars. I don't think you call deputies need to run around with 250,000 plus miles on their cars. I for certain don't like that. I think the highest mileage car I've had in my career maybe had 110,000 miles on it. I mean, it's not safe for anybody. I appreciate everybody having me come here. My name is Matt Smoke again. I'm running for Berkeley County Sheriff.
Thank you, Matt. Brian Adams, also a candidate for Berkeley County Sheriff.
Good evening. My name is Brian Adams. I am running for Berkeley County Sheriff. And let me tell you a little bit about myself. I grew up here in the Goose Creek area. I started, my dad was in the Navy. We got transferred here when I was a young little boy, probably about 3 or 4 years old. I went to College Park Elementary School, went to College Park Middle School, and I went to Stratford High School where I graduated. I met my wife there, and she got lucky and she fell into my trap. And she's still with me to this day. We have 4 kids from 17, 15, and 2 14-year-olds that just had a birthday this past Sunday. or Monday, I'm sorry. Whew, see there? So that's kind of me in a nutshell. We're members of Bethel United Methodist in Somerville, and I work currently at the City of North Charleston. I am a lieutenant with North Charleston. I've been there for 19 years. My law enforcement career started in Goose Creek. I was there for about 3.5 years. And before that, I was with Berkeley County EMS and the Carey Fire Department where I volunteered at. So I've been around in law enforcement, public safety a good while, probably since about 17 years old. Through that time, I've been to several schools and trainings, and as of right now, I'm a lieutenant with the narcotics unit. I am over the specialized section unit, which is over narcotics, the street crime unit, and our fugitive task force. I'm also a member of the LECC, which is Law Enforcement Coordinating Committee. I sit on the board up there in Columbia, and I'm an instructor for the drug commanders in the state. Through that time, I've gone through several leadership schools and trainings, and that's where I'm currently at as of right now in my professional career. Some of the things I'd like to do in Berkeley County. First thing I want to do is I'm going to get more deputies on the road. That's the first and foremost. That's the first line of defense against reducing crime, vision in the communities, and getting back in and working with the community members. We've got to get more deputies on the road. Second of all, I want to start working with the communities. We have to get into there, and we have to start working with the leaders of the communities and the business owners and those who are coming in to visit the county. If we're not in the places and not in vision of the people coming into the county and the residents of the county, then what's going to happen is the crime's going to stay high and continue to grow. We have to stay visible. We have to stay in there, and that's our first line of defense. Second of all, what I want to do is I'm going to start a program, the Community Service Officer Program. What this is going to do is going to put officers in the neighborhoods. They're going to build up, like for instance, the zones of Berkeley County have not changed since 1986. In the same zones. However, Berkeley County has been growing, and we all heard it. It's the 36th fastest growing county in the nation, one in the state. So over that time, population change, crime changes, and the zones should change with it. Makes sense. We take a crime analysis, we look at the crime, and we start applying and moving the deputies where we need to move them to help reduce the crime. We get the deputies in these areas, and what will happen is they build a relationship with the community leaders. We make sure they're in there with the crime prevention programs or the civic units. They got a direct relationship with them. On top of that, what I also want to do is I want to make them have a relationship with their council member within that district. So when you as a civic person has a problem in your neighborhood and you know your council member, you can call him. In turn, he can say, you know what? I know a deputy, that's his district. Let me call him. It doesn't have to be now. Crime in progress, of course, we want to call 911 or call the non-emergency line right away. But if this is something for, you got the same problem over and over, loud music, barking dog, kids doing donuts in cars, things like that are constantly going on and on. You call your council member. He can call the deputy that's assigned to that district. There's a direct relationship. It's faster. How do I know this worked? I built a program in the city of North Charleston where it works. It works great. Absolutely wonderful. Okay? I work for the city of North Charleston. I'm sure everybody's heard North Charleston doesn't miss the news much. We're one of the most violent cities in the nation. We were. We're rated number 3 one year, number 7 another year. We're not even rated in the top 100 anymore. We changed things up. We got back into the communities. I've been to Tallahassee. I've been to North Carolina. I've been to Georgia. We've been to different places to take ideas from them and implement to what we need to do to reduce our crime. Been to Chicago too. That's not a very good place to go to try and reduce our crime. So, but we got to take some ideas from other places, bring it back to us, adapt it, make it work. One of the other things I want to do is I want to build a program to where we have future younger people and they see into the future. This is what they want to do. They want to be in public safety. We start a program to where they can go in. We teach them how to do fingerprints, report writing, and they go to nonviolent, non-calls in progress. What this does is free the deputies up. This allows them to go to in-progress calls, burglaries and service. Violence that's occurring right now. Why? because we got this program in place, and these people can go to a vandalism call that is passed, and what they're doing is they're freeing up that deputy. That deputy then can go and handle what situations they need to handle. While the report's being taken, fingerprints and evidence is being collected. It works great. Everybody around here is doing it other than Berkeley County. I don't understand. I then want to get in and start using crime analysis. It's there. It's perfect. I can go on Rage Online. Everybody in here can go to Rage Online, pull up Berkeley County. Now, unfortunately, Rage Online is only reported crimes. So only if the deputy doesn't report is it listed. Trust me, there's 1,000 other ones, probably hundreds of thousands of other ones, that there's no reports on. So we have to take that from the crime analysis unit, build it up, look at it, and then we look at that crime analysis and we apply the deputies where it's needed. Simple. We do it all the time. We've done it all the time. It's nothing to do. They got the system, we have to use it. Second thing, or third thing I want to make sure we do, I want to make the line supervisors to sergeants working supervisors. As of right now, there's not one working supervisor right there working the road with a cage in his car. So let's say Bilo down the street has a shoplifter. Sergeant pulls up. The guy starts to get violent, kicking, and doing it because they do that. They don't want to go to jail. A lot of people don't want to go to jail for stealing something. So they start kicking in that. What's the sergeant got to do? He's got to call another unit with a cage. 1,275 square miles is what Berkeley is. They don't have the luxury of having all these officers on the street compared to Somerville or Charleston County, Charleston City. They don't have that luxury. The line supervisor has to have the ability to do his job. How? Put a cage in his car. Put lights on his car. Make him work. He needs to get out there and do it. These are ways we can reduce the crime, get back into the neighborhoods, and apply the ways of true relationships between the communities, the sheriff's office, and the businesses. So these are some of the ideas I like to bring. I've got probably about 100 more I'd love to bring, but these are things we have to build on. First thing we need to do is get more deputies on the road. Second thing is start building that relationship with the communities again, and we need to get back in the detention center. We have to start putting manpower in the detention center. Like Mayor Pigler was saying, they've got, and Mr. Beckley, the jail has got, it's been completed now for 4 years. 2 floors are not being used, the bottom floor is being used. We have to make that a priority. The sheriff needs to put down a priority when he comes in and fight for his office. That's very important. He needs to put that on council every time. He's the elected official. He must make that a priority and bring it up, and in that way we can get the properly personnel and get those positions open. We just had 2 detention officers injured about a month ago, and they're working 120 to 125 hours of pay period. They're away from their families. It tires them out. There's a 62.5% turnover rate inside the jail, so it's constant training, constant movement, so you don't have the experience sitting in there. They're constantly rolling over, and they're constantly tired. That's going to make some dangerous situations.
Yeah. I thought I saw 5 on here, then we got 3 4s. There you go. Yeah. In fact, you got your name on here twice, so you can run through.
Covering a little bit old, it's interesting that some of the things that come up before. I'm a councilman for District 5, which is primarily Crowfield, Tall Pine, and Devon Forest. If you all have followed politics in Berkeley County the last number of years, you know the last 2 have been better than the previous 6. That's because we had another conservative member come on board for those number of years. So I started out being, because I am an accountant, have an accounting practice. I was on the finance committee. And when it came to know that I did not agree with the way he did the budget part, it was basically for elected officials. That's when I was removed from finance and Sherman came on. And it has, if you know that the vote has always been 4-4, it has been broken by what I call liberals. So we finally got some more things turned around, and I'm running again for the next term to try and complete the things we got with a conservative council. One of the things that were mentioned on that, you know, talk about the sheriff. We on council are not aware that the second and third floor have not been opened. That has not been brought to us. I understand the sheriff had made those appeals to the supervisor, and it was blocked on the budget. It's in the budget this year. We have approved 26 new deputies, and that will be in this year's budget. The other thing we changed is, if some of you remember the 2 years back, we voted a 29%, like the 29% local option tax, where it would rebate some of your property taxes. And I think 6 years ago, money was taken away and put a capital improvement fund in. We were successful this year to restore that 29% back to where you will get a tax break for what you voted on.
Thank you.
Now, another big issue that's coming up a lot is the impact fees.
Yes.
When the impact fees were put in about 10 years ago, primarily that we had committed with the Jedburgh interchange, in order for the Interstate Infrastructure Bank to finance that, we would take the $500,000 and do that. We have been trying to change that for 6 years, 7 years. This year, all of a sudden, supervisors come up with a new way. Lo and behold, we're going to find a way to get rid of the combination of the tax, which we need to get done. I think you'll see some movement on that this time. There's another way to finance that. We can find the money. If you all read the paper on last night's council meeting, property taxes have increased, or will increase in Berkeley County. Everybody thinks the property values have gone down, but as you know, the last evaluation in 2009, the property tax accelerated now is based against 2009. And about 72% of the property, I think it is, are the ones that's going to be increased a small amount. Tim Callahan, who's down in finance, has a brilliant finance background, and I'm glad he's helping me with that. We know there's money. Some of you will have a property tax increase, maybe not very much, but based on the state law, it will go up. The money is going to be there. It's going to be there. Two things that I think we've committed to do is remove the impact fee. We have killed a lot of businesses coming into Berkeley County because they can't afford to do it. It's absolutely unbelievable. I've got some areas of my district along College Park that are still vacant because people can't afford the huge amount of funds to go into that. I think you'll see that change this year. I'm looking forward to continue on council with some conservative people that don't make a mistake about it. Jack Sherrill, I started out as a Republican. I'm not running against Jack Sherrill. He turned out to be a liberal. So I need one of the people from District 4 or 6 running there. What we're praying for is somebody that we can have that has those values. Somebody accused me 2 weeks ago of knowing how to squeeze a nickel. I can assure you, as an accountant, I know how to do that. I don't like increasing taxes. I'm an accountant. I'm a businessman. I know how that works. And I think we can put that together. So I appreciate that. One last thing. We on council do not control elected officials. Elected officials are separate from council. They bring their budget to the supervisor and then to council from that. We can only give them suggestions. One of the things we fought real hard on 2 years ago was to open up the Goose Creek satellite office. It was open for years. In this last year's budget, we approved $150,000 to do that. Unfortunately, we've been trying to get that open. Janet Jarosco has committed to putting in person 2 people there. But Carolyn Upland refuses to go back and move that down there. We on council cannot make her put people in that office. I would suggest y'all help on that deal. Get that office opened up in Goose Creek. I would suggest maybe call Carolyn and ask her to help. We've got the money, it's been budgeted. So now we've got 6 months worth of budgeted money that's not being spent. And then we hopefully, well, that will be budgeted again this next time. So that's the next item. That's Cypress Gardens. I think that's a jewel in the county. In the past, it's never been profitable. We've made a commitment that we will make Cypress Gardens work. As you know, we have a local office, the hospitality tax, accommodations tax. That money is specifically set aside for tourism. Now, in Berkeley County, that money is given to the chamber to spend, there's now kind of a wrestling match, if you will. I want that, some of that money moved over to Cypress Gardens, because that is a tourist attraction. I think we can improve that, so. That's a couple of things I'd like to accomplish and finish up. We'll use in District 5, appreciate your support, and thank you very much.
Opportunity to come down here and talk about your Secretary of State's office. It's not my office, it's your office, because it's an elected position, and it's just been a great honor for me to serve as your Secretary of State for the past 12 years now. I've been doing this for quite some time, and I have been introduced as Mark Harmon before, but never Richard Extra.
My mistake.
And I am an incumbent, and I'm here, and I'm glad to be here. And, I think we're doing some great things in the Secretary of State. When you elected me 12 years ago, I told you that we were going to have one of the Secretary of State's office that you'd be proud of, that's going to be user-friendly, that's going to be business-friendly. And I think that we have accomplished a lot of those goals, and we still have more to do. But we heard some wonderful news just today. Did you know, I think it's Business Executives Magazine ranks South Carolina as the 5th best state to do business in. We're in the top 10, so I get tired of people talking about what we're at the bottom at. It's time to start talking about where we're at the top. And when it comes to being a business-friendly state, we've been ranked in the top 10 and 5th, as a matter of fact. One reason I think that we've been able to accomplish that is because we've done what we can to make it easy to do business in South Carolina. And as your Secretary of State, how I've tried to help in that effort is to make more and more of our services online. So now, anybody that wanted to file a UCC or do a UCC search, and a lot of you may not even know what that is, but it's very integral in the transaction of business. You can do that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we won 3 awards with that program. If you wanted to incorporate, you could go home tonight and you could incorporate through our South Carolina Business One Stop. So we have streamlined the corporate filing system in South Carolina. Not only incorporate, you can go to 4 other state agencies. It's truly a business one-stop and something that we're very proud of. Also, it's been a great year legislatively in the Secretary of State's office. You don't hear a lot about what we do legislatively, but we were able to get a charities bill passed and signed by the governor this year. How many of you have ever gone out and been solicited and say, okay, for the month of May, if you purchase items here, 10% is going to go to a charity? And you go out and you shop and you buy something, and then a little later on you wonder, well, how much actually went to that charity? Well, there's no accountability there. So now, if you are a co-venture and you enter partnership with one of these nonprofits, at the end of that campaign, you're going to have to file paperwork, and we're going to know how much merchandise was sold, and we're going to know how much is going to that charity. And I think that's going to help protect our charitable donors here in South Carolina and be a very good thing. Also, we're working on a notary bill, a notary legislation, and I hope to get this passed. It's not passed yet, but did you know that if you were a notary in South Carolina, you don't have to speak or understand the English language? That's not in statute? Well, if we get this bill passed, when you fill out that application, you're going to have to sign a sworn statement that you can understand the English language as well as being a registered voter. You know, a lot of politicians get up here and they talk about accountability, they talk about transparency, and I think, well, what can I do as Secretary of State? Well, the Secretary of State has the boards and commissions, and we keep that information, and it's available to the public, but you have to call us right now, and we can give you that information. Well, I want to make that an easier process also. So hopefully within the next month, you're going to be able to go to our website. You can already see vacancies, but anyone here who's ever questioned who's serving on a board like DNR, DHEC, there's hundreds of them out there. You're going to be able to access that information. You're going to know who's serving. You're going to know when their term expires. You're going to know if they're appointed by the governor, elected by the legislature, or whether or not it's with advice and consent of the Senate. And what you're going to know, too, is when those terms expire, And I think we got some good people in here who's probably wondered, well, I think I would like to serve with the DOT or Ports Authority. And those are just some of the bigger high-profile boards and commissions, but you just don't know how that works. Well, you go to our website, you're going to know now. All that information is going to be readily available for you. So we've got some exciting things going on in the Secretary of State's office. We're going to continue to make more things accessible electronically, and we're going to have a Secretary of State's office that's not just a leader here as far as a state agency, it's going to be a leader nationwide. So I just appreciate your support. I hope I appreciate your continued support, because I hope you support me already. So thank you for having me. Just wonderful to get down here and talk about the office. And if I can assist you, please call me from the Secretary of State's office. I'm going to need to leave. And I'm going to end with this one story. When I got elected, I'm from Spartanburg. I had a good friend of mine come and visit. He was there on the Capitol grounds. And I told him, I said, well, come by to see me. He said, Mark, we're real proud of you. Well, I'd love to show you the office. So I told him, come out of the Brown building. I'd like to see you. I went back to work. I waited. He never showed up. I bumped into him about a month later in Spartanburg. I said, you never did come to see me. And he said, I walked all over that State House ground, and there's not a Brown building there. I'm in the Edgar Brown building. So if you want to see your Secretary of State, I'm on the 5th floor of the Edgar Brown building. So thank you for having me. God bless each and every one.
Thank you, Wade. And he's right, you got another chance to elect me again after the lieutenant governor's race in November. But it's great to be here. Look, I've got one reason you've got to elect me. I have 3 kids. My son is 13. He's in 7th grade, going to 8th grade. He ran for student body treasurer and won. So please don't make me go home and tell him I lost and he won. So that's number one reason right away. Hey, look, I'm motivated right now about what's going to happen in this upcoming election. I'm like many of you, I think, where I didn't spend my life in politics. I came from a military family. In fact, I was born in Hawaii, and I've got my birth certificate in case you guys want to check that out. But that's how I grew up. I went to the Citadel, family roots in South Carolina, but I grew up moving around and had a long active duty career as an airborne ranger infantry guy, and but was not political. In fact, my father, when I first started running, was like, politics? You're around politicians? Those guys. I said, yeah, those guys. But what brought me into it was going back to 2008. I'd just gotten home from Afghanistan and had a unique opportunity there to see something that most Americans don't. And that was the difference between Europe and America on the battlefield. Because we were in southern Afghanistan, my good friend Colonel Alan West was there as well, and we trained the Afghans to fight the Taliban. But the Europeans controlled the area of operations. And I put my teams out, my captains, my sergeants, to serve alongside the Europeans. And they're brothers in arms, they're brave, but there's a difference between Americans and Europeans. And I firmly believe it's not about genetics, it's not about any of that stuff. It comes down to one thing, that this document right here, the document I swore to protect and defend 24 years ago, has made us who and what we are. There's a confidence, a swagger about Americans that's different. And when I came home in 2008, I looked around and started seeing things that really just hit me in the fact our country is racing toward Europe as fast as it can go. We are losing what it means to be an American. It was a time frame of the TARP bailouts in 2008, if you all remember that. And by the way, our senior senator voted for both of them. And you're looking back over the decade, the Republicans in this case, and I'm running as a Republican in a Republican primary, acted in many cases like Democrats. You almost couldn't distinguish the two in many cases of what they were doing. Now, it's not about an issue of going to fight wars. I volunteered to go do that. And there's certain things we had to spend for. But a lot of Republicans, like our senior senator, gave up on this document. And February 27, 2009, I spoke at the first Tea Party in the history of the state 5 years ago. And then on the State House steps, April 15 of that year, introduced Jim DeMint, the other senator, who votes the right way. I was with that tsunami, and I saw it come crashing down. We took our house back. That house that brought us Obamacare, we took it back. We sent Trey Gowdy up there. We sent Tim Scott up there. We sent Jeff Duggan up there. We took it back. And we got another chance. We do. We got almost 30 days, 28 days left till the primary. And I'm seeing it come in this race. In this race, I got to tell you, it can be won. It can. Lindsey Graham right now cannot break 50%. There are 6 challengers. One of us is going to make it. One of us is going to make it, and we can take it back. Now, what are some of the things that I'd like to bring? I looked at the race last year, and I felt the call to get back into service, and I believe government should be a service, which is why I've already said 2 terms is it for me. I swear on my word of honor, 2 terms I will lead. Because I don't think anybody can go beyond 12 years in Washington, D.C. without being infected by whatever else is up there. And our current senior senator, by the way, Lindsey Graham, may be a good man when he started, but 20 years later, it's time for him to go back home, get a real job, and spend a few years being one of us. Because that's the problem in D.C. You know, I look at some main issues. You know, the first one is immigration. We have got to fix immigration. Our country will implode right now. Our economy is bad. We can't continue to sustain the growth of illegal immigration, so we need to close the border off. But also, quite frankly, our visa system. There's more than almost 50% of the problem is people overstaying visas. We've got to fix immigration all the way around. We don't need to be twice the level of legal immigration we were in the Reagan era. Our country can't sustain it. Being an American, it means you hold the same common heroes, the same documents that you hold dear. We as Americans are seeing our country tear apart, and that can't continue to happen. And then constitutionalism. You know, one of the first things I'm going to do as a senator is get rid of the National Department of Education. Do I have any cheers out there on that?
You're going to get fired.
Good evening.
That's my.
Let me try that again. Good evening. When I speak, I look for people to speak back.
Good evening.
Good evening. Okay, we're in church, am I right?
Yeah, that's fine with me. They don't
And I want to be around godly people, and godly people always speak to folks. That's how I was brought up. My name is Leon Wynn, and I'm running for the 6th congressional seat. That's the seat Jim Clyburn is holding. My challenge is not wondering if I'm going to win, because I know that I am. What's my last name? I don't know nothing else. It is my ability to do this. My challenge is not whether Jim Clyburn is going to get enough support to be victorious. My challenge is to get the Republican Party to vote. If the Republican Party steps out and vote, we can win this. Since I'm in church, I'm going to throw a little biblical. How much time do I have?
We're trying to give you 5 minutes so we get everybody in here.
Okay, because I'm a black blood born again Baptist preacher. It's hard to hold me down in 5 minutes now.
Don't go from Genesis to Revelation. Keep 5 minutes.
All right. If you look at, if those of you that know the Bible, how many times do you think the word slave was mentioned in the New Testament, in the Bible? The original King James Version, the word slave, you done heard me before. The word slave in the King James Version is mentioned 1 time, the word S-L-A-V-E. The word slaves 1 time. The word is bondage. The 6th district has been in bondage for over 20 some odd years with Jim Clyburn. And the mindset of those that are in the 6th district, they believe that he is invincible. And when a person is invincible, the community at large feel that no one can defeat him. I'm here to get you to understand that Jim Clyburn can be defeated.
That's right.
It's not impossible. But the Republican Party gonna have to vote. One of the things that I'm experiencing, and I noticed nobody noticed that I'm black. Y'all just got that, right? I'm from the core, the pulse of the black community. When I'm talking to the black community, and I'm asking, when I'm telling them what I'm doing, I'm at awe at the response. You think that they would be resistant? I'm being embraced like you would not know. I was at the Baptist convention at Morris College this week, and at the convention, some of the guys I knew that I would have opposition with, I knew that they would challenge me because I'm running against Jim Clyburn, just dumbfounded me in the context that they appreciate what I'm doing, and they're embracing it. I'm having black preachers now that saying, when we're going to stand behind you, we're going to support you. He's not doing nothing in the 6th district, and we need a change. That's where we are right now. There's an undergirding movement to get him out there, but the Republican Party has to vote. If the Republican Party does not turn out in record numbers, we cannot do it. You got to turn out. I'm going to tell you, I got about a minute.
Yeah, a minute and a half.
You have to, the Republican Party has to turn out. And even though the majority may not be able to vote in the 6th district, but you know people in the 6th district. You know people in the area. Phone calls. Bill was talking about
volunteering your time, volunteering your resources. And I found out just recently, I'm a faith-based person. I have found enough money to fund my campaign. I found it. I got it. Is that all right? But it's in your pocket. That's what's going to make it happen. Today we just ordered 50 signs. We're getting ready to put the signs out because people have to know there's a name out there. I'm in the primary, I have an opposition, so I have to fight the primary to get to the next level, to get to the general election. We're going to get to the general election because we need your support and you telling people that Jim Clyburn can be defeated. In the Republican Party, my challenge is Republican vote. When I deal with the Democrats, which is majority of the black community, my concept in the context of my conversation is that there's time for a change. What is he doing or how him being in office have impacted your life? And when they said it's not, then I can come into I can go straight at the jugular vein. I conclude by saying this. I was at an NAACP meeting several months ago, and you know nobody there but black folks. Y'all know that, right? NAACP meeting. I was asked to speak, and I got up and I said, "How many of y'all hate Republicans?" I was so glad my wife was with me because everyone raised their hand. I said, "Then how many of you hate me?" Nobody raised their hand. I said, "Thank God y'all don't hate me." And I said to them unequivocally, in less than 3 minutes, I'm going to make every one of you a Republican. And they said, which one of you believe in same-sex marriage? Nobody. Which one of you believe in abortion? No one. Which one of you believe that the government should control all your finances? No one. Welcome to the Republican Party. It is as simple as that. Ladies and gentlemen, in my conclusion, I don't ascribe to be politically correct. I said black and I said white. The black community in the 6th district, which is primarily Democrats, are willing to bring about a change. The Republican community, which is majority white, needs to join together and let's make this happen. We cannot do it without both entities working together. God bless you. Heaven smile upon you. If you want to read more about me, go to leonwynn.com. And there's a donate button that you just push, and it guides you right through. We need your support. We can make this happen. God bless you.
We got a big election coming up. 5 minutes is a short time away, but I'll lay it on. I'll be on your ballot. I'm running for lieutenant governor. I wasn't planning on doing it, but my friend Glenn McConnell, as you know, who's done a tremendous job, he didn't want the job, but he had to go up there when the other guy left. Well, now Glenn is going to the College of Charleston. He'll go there in July after the session, and so I'm back in the race. I had left over 3 years ago after the last election, worked hard to get Governor Haley elected. She's doing a great job. And I worked hard to get her elected, and I was planning on working hard for her this time, which I'll do, and for Glenn, but Glenn's gone. So there's an opportunity for me to come back and do the thing that I like to do, and that's to work for people of this state to make this known by everybody as the greatest place to live, work, and raise your family on the face of the earth. And I believe that. I love this state. I love everybody in it. I think we're special. I think we have enormous opportunity. But there's some things we got to get right, and I think we got to get them right in the next 4 years. That's why I'm in this race. As you know from reading the newspapers and listening to what's going on, this economy is going to start growing fast soon. It's going to be like a race. And the people in North Carolina and Georgia and all over the South and the Southeast, that's where everybody agrees the economic explosion is going to take place. So we've got to get everything just right. It's like riding a wave at the beach. If you've been to the beach and you see the big wave coming and you try to catch it, if you miss it, it might be years, weeks, you don't know how long it'll be before you have another opportunity to catch that wave. We've got a short window. We've got this 4 years to get everything right. And if we do that, we can have economic prosperity here like we've never had before. Why they want to come here? Because we got the best technical college system in the United States. We got a great climate. We got a right to work law. We got a right to work attitude. We got a port second to none. The economic forecasters say in the future there could be 2 big ports on the East Coast. One is New York, New Jersey. The other is Charleston, South Carolina. Nikki put me on the port board every year. The economic impact of the port of Charleston on our state is $43 billion. The amount of goods that go in and out there, I've learned from being on that board, is $63 billion. And to look at the list of where those things come from and go to, it's all over the world. It's Russia, it's Finland, it's Europe, it's China, all over the place. We are right in the middle. We are primed for enormous economic prosperity. One thing we did recently there is we built what you call an inland port. The Norfolk Southern Railroad, which I used to represent in private practice, happily, they were getting sued all the time, unfortunately, most of them frivolous lawsuits. But I've defended those corporations, defended the state, and learned about lawsuits. But anyway, the Norfolk Southern had a track running right through Grill. BMW is in Grill. BMW needs to get, you know how many? They're putting another $1 billion in investment up there. There will be more cars built in Grill, South Carolina, in any plant that BMW has in the world. That's the kind of scale that we're getting ready to operate on. Anyway, that train goes through every day and every night. Goes back and forth. So what they're going to be able to do is people can ship things into Charleston, put it on the rail. It'll be in Greer the next morning for somebody, a truck, to come pick up and go down I-85, which is one of the most traveled roads in the whole world. So we are right on the edge, but there's some things we got to do right. One of them's in the area of ethics. Governor Haley appointed me to chair the commission, her commission on ethics reform. We said we understood that there is a problem in confidence in government. People all over, from looking at the national government to local governments all over the country, they're saying, I don't trust them, I don't like them, there's favoritism, they're corrupt, they're dishonest. And ladies and gentlemen, if we don't have confidence in our government, the government won't function. If people don't have confidence in the government at all levels, these companies that want to come in, they say, well, what are the schools? What's the public safety in this place? How does the government work? In some places in the East, it's routine to bribe people. If you want to put up a building that costs $6 million, you've got to pay about $6 million in bribes. Same cost for the bribes as it is for the building. Well, we don't want to have any taint of corruption on us here. So that's why, whether we've got any or not, we've got to have laws that make it plain to everybody that this is an honest, clean place to work. We got to have an ethics commission that judges everybody on their ethics. The legislators cannot be excluded. That's what the governor thinks. That's what I think. And one day we're going to have that. Also, the sources of that income's got to be disclosed. We got to have a clean, honest government. President Obama has done his part to cause people to lose confidence in government. He doesn't believe in the rule of law. He believes in the rule of the man. And that is a dangerous thing, and we're going to be paying for that for a long time. Obamacare, the worst is yet to come. We got to get our state ready to do all we can to provide for the health of the people before they get sick, instead of pouring money into a broken system to try to help them after they get sick. Governor Haley, again, made a bold decision to take us out of that expansion of Medicaid. It's a good decision. The South Carolina way is going to work better. Y'all know how that happened? I'll tell you how it happened. It was in December of 2009 when Obamacare was being debated. And we were watching it, and they were talking about the individual mandate to buy insurance. You got to buy it whether you want it or not, whether you need it or not, whether you can afford it or not, you got to have it. Well, we were watching that, and we saw that the votes were too short. The Republicans were going to filibuster, and Ben Nelson had the deciding vote in his pocket, the 60th vote. Well, he called the president and said, according to the news, if you will provide in Obamacare that Nebraska, my state, gets free Medicaid expansion forever, I'll be for it. And we and everybody else waved and looking around saying that ain't right, that's dishonest, that's corrupt. And it also is a violation of the Constitution guarantee for due process. That is, you can't treat one state different from all the rest. So we wrote them a letter. We wrote a letter to Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid. I wrote the letter to Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid. I called my friend Rob McKenna, who is the AG in Washington State, and said, will you join this thing with me? I'm sticking my neck out. He said, I will. I called Greg Abbott, who's the Attorney General, still is in Texas. Will you join with me? He said, I will. We ended up with 13 attorneys general. And we sent the letter on December the 3rd. One day I'll bring a copy and give it to you. It's a good letter. We talked about that mandate and all that. Well, I got a call on New Year's Eve. Ben Nelson on the cell phone. He said, what I got to do to get the dogs called off? I said, take that special deal from Nebraska out of there. He said, I'll do it. And I said, that's good, and we'll back down. He says, I know you just, all you Ronald Reagan Republicans, trust but verify. I said, that's right. The next day they took it out. So what we do then? We said, well, now it's time to go after that individual mandate. We've been talking about it. It's unconstitutional, a violation of the Commerce Clause. So we said, if you pass that law, we're going to file suit. And the Attorney General in Florida had drawn up the papers. We've done the research. In 6 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, after the President signed that bill on March the 23rd, 2010, 6 minutes later, we filed a case in Florida, in U.S. District Court. At that time, I think we had 17 Attorneys General on the thing. Everybody said it's frivolous, it can't be done. Well, it wasn't. You see what happened. We knocked out the expansion of Medicaid, saved this state $1 billion a year in taxes, but we can't stop. We got to keep going. My story to you, and I'll try to end quickly, is in this state, for the next 4 years, we got to have people who are qualified and experienced and know how to do things. I set up the Internet Predator Group across the state to go after the sexual predators on the internet that were getting the children. I brought the case, got the laws passed to go after the 6 people that took $268 million from those seniors up in the upstate, and we sent them all to jail. Mine has been experience in getting laws passed, getting things done, finding problems, and go after them. And my priorities as your Lieutenant Governor will be the Office on Aging to make the older people safe and secure in their homes. We can do it through collaboration, like Glenn McConnell has so ably done. It won't cost us money. We need to have the police to go by and check on them, all for free. We need to have, at some point, ladies and gentlemen, you're old enough to quit paying taxes. You've paid enough. So we have to find some way to take that economic burden off of those older folks, because some of them are just this far away from having to leave or having to sell their house in order to make it. So we're going to do that. On ethics, I've mentioned to you ethics, that's highly important. Economic development, we've got enormous things we can do in this state, and if we stick together, keep those taxes low, and cooperate, we can get it done. So my resume, my experience has been working for you. My experience has been in getting things done. I don't think we need on-the-job training in the Lieutenant Governor's office or any other office in this state at this critical time. That's why I'm running, and so I will close with this. If you like what I did as your United States Attorney, appointed first in the country, federal prosecutor by Ronald Reagan, we had Operation Jackpot, sent 133 of them to jail for drug smuggling. We had the Dillon County Ethics vote buying investigation, sent 33 of them to jail, including the judge, the sheriff, and big millionaire. If you like what I did as your United States Attorney, if you like what I did as your Attorney General, you're going to love what I'll do for you as your Lieutenant Governor, and I remind you, please vote for Henry. Thank you.